Now, Larry, I want to ask you a question. So, someone like yourself who's been involved in trading for, around 30 years now, it's a long time. I think what I've done in the past when I've spoken to traders who have been trading for similar periods of time, I've asked them sort of like what things have changed over that period of time, what things have changed over the last 30 years. But I was having a conversation with Jeff Davis, who was on, I think he was originally on episode 70. Anyway, we were speaking and he sort of said to me, one of the things that's really important is what hasn't changed, what's stayed the same. So I'd like to ask you, over the 30 years that you've been trading, even with all the changes that have taken place, what are some of the things which have remained the same after all this time?
Yeah, that's great. It's great to look back and think about that. The reality is that it really, and I hate to say this because you're trying to, after 30 years, you want to say, wow, I'm so sophisticated and this, that. The reality is the human nature is not changing. Fear and greed, it's exactly the same. There's still elation when you're right and despair when you're wrong. That's not going to change, and that's never going to change. And the things that work, it's funny because a lot of things that work will continue to work as long as it's based on the right premise. And I think that's, and I know we came back to it, but I think that's just so important. And for me, like 30 years ago with pressure points and things like that, that's important. And that stuff still works today. Maybe the movement happens faster now where you'll make money faster and or if you're wrong, lose faster. But, you can adjust to that, right? All you have to do is lower your bet size down, lower your risk down, and you'll be in the same spot you were in. So, the old saying is the markets change, but the markets always change and the markets always stay the same. And I think the successful traders kind of come back to the bottom line is, why is it going up? A stock or a commodity or futures is going up today, probably for the same reasons it went up 5, 10, 15 years ago. There's a reason that for one day there are more buyers than sellers or vice versa. And that's just not going to change. And, you can go and people can go and model things like that. But the reality is it comes back to the basic human nature, fear and greed. And that's not going to change. And that book that I mentioned, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, let me tell you, when you read that, it's just eye-opening because those stories are exactly the stories that you will have today from trading. And you sit there and look at it and you go, oh my God, this is 70 years ago. How can that be? They didn't have computers and things then. But you know what? They're exactly the same. And it's pretty cool. That's probably why I've been doing it so long because, like we said before, I'm not a programmer. So if it was all just programming now, I wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have been able to adapt to that. But it's not. And it does come down to, what's worked and observations. And for me, that's been completely key.